Hello and welcome to Richmond Kickers Weekly. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who I don't think has ever gone an entire month without scoring. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Lots of ways to take that, so I'm just going to say correct.
Yeah, so I'm trying to have like a gallows humour about it, but we are nearly to the end of June and the Kickers have not scored in June. We're also, I think, 6 games without a win in USL League One.
Correct.
Plus the Open Cup defeat to North Carolina.
Yep.
We're in a bad patch. Mm-hmm. Richmond Kickers are in a bad patch, and there's no arguing otherwise, right?
There is not.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot in recent shows talking about kind of the tactics, what we think is going wrong, or what we think could be improved.
Yeah.
Our, should we say sister podcast? Our fellow podcast? Our friends in podcasting?
River City United.
Yeah. They did a good interview this week, right?
Yes, with Mika, the assistant coach. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one maybe if you want to get some more thoughts from Mika, from a member of the coaching staff about sort of what the Kickers are trying to do, some areas that maybe they're not having success. Elliot asked some good questions in there.
Yeah.
That's a good place to go for the maybe tactical analysis of late.
And maybe for our take, I think last week's show, after the defeat, we talked about, to Chattanooga, right? We talked about like what we see, what we actually like about what the Kickers are doing. So I do like the idea behind the playing style, but maybe like little tweaks we think should happen to make it more effective, essentially. And again, we know that we're not coaches, but like we are pundits and we have our ideas. If you want to hear what we think about what the Kickers could switch up, maybe listen to last week's Richmond Kickers Weekly to get those thoughts.
All right.
This week, we're talking about the away loss to South Georgia Tormenta FC, to give them their full name.
There we are. And I think like we did all that preamble about last week's shows and tactics and everything like that because basically I think we're going to be looking more so at what went wrong in the final minutes of this game.
So yeah, I mean, until the 80th minute, we were holding a team that's really in good form to a draw, which is not a bad away result, but then it all sort of falls apart in the last 10 minutes. I think what we want to look at is the incidents, right? So essentially the Kickers give away a penalty kick that is scored, and then Connor Shinovsky, centre-back, is sent off for 2 yellow cards in very quick succession, right? Should we take these things one by one?
Yeah, let's start with the penalty because it's a good reminder that like you can do the right thing for 80 or 81 or 82 minutes, but if you kind of let your attention slip, if you start to maybe get a little sloppy in moments, those can add all up to catastrophe. And here, that catastrophe would be a penalty.
Are you saying that what you think Wahaba did was a sloppy moment?
I mean, yes, but
I'm not going to debate you.
Even before that, though, like it's basically ball being moved around, and like you have Kickers players dropping in and Kickers players stepping out, and it feels like you had a couple just not even mental lapses, but maybe just moments of fatigue. But like Dennis Chin stops covering Micheletto, who I think ends up getting the drawing penalty. Yeah. But then, because Braden Troyer thinks Chin is marking Micheletto, Troyer steps out to try to make a play on somebody else.
Yes.
But that opens up space. Chin stops marking to maybe see where the ball is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
And that leaves space in behind. So then, like, you've got...
It's about communication between Troyer and Chin, right?
It is.
Because in Troyer's mind, Chin's marking Micheletto all the way back to the left-back spot. So Troyer thinks, all right, if that's happening here, I'm free to step out.
Yeah.
But there's never any verbal communication between them on, like, confirmation of what was happening. Like, if I'm Troyer in that situation, I would be confirming with Chin, you got him? All right, before I step.
Yeah.
And I think Troyer steps without getting the sort of getting the stamp of approval from Dennis Chin that what he thought was happening was happening.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but then that also, even if both of them make mistakes, then it's like not necessarily a major issue, except that then you have other people who have to try to make plays as a result.
Yes.
And
this is why I'm quite scrambling over to like a left back area to try and tackle Micheletto.
Exactly.
Right? Or
which
not tackle, but shepherd the ball out, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it also, I do think it partially informs the double yellow red card for Shinovsky later on. I think these two center backs have been playing their game and been very disciplined and doing their job. And then in one moment when two other players maybe stop doing their job for just a couple seconds, it requires you to then go over and try to deal with it. And in this case, Akwe does that, but I think doesn't really end up dealing with it because maybe he's trying to figure out what to do, but also still processing that he was just marking somebody and also trying to kind of transition into attack.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he doesn't make a decisive play on this ball, and I think that's the big problem.
And if you haven't seen this, we'll put the link in the show notes to the highlights. Essentially what happens is the ball goes through. It's like the right-hand side of the penalty area. Micheletto's running onto it. Akwe gets gets across, right, and he's in front of Micheletto, he's between Micheletto and the ball, and he decides to try and do that thing where you shield the ball from the attacking player and let the ball go over the end line for a goal kick. I would argue, and I'm sure Akwai would agree, in hindsight, there's not enough pace on this ball for him to do that. It's not going out of play quickly enough, so then they end up really tussling right on the end line as the ball is very, very slowly making revolutions towards being a goal kick.
And that is the like flaw in trying to do this sort of defensive approach of shepherding the ball out of bounds is when it is moving that slow. We've seen this at every level of the game. It's like when it's maybe going to go out of bounds but maybe isn't, it's really easy to get into kind of a grappling match there.
Yeah.
And then you're no longer sort of really focused on the ball. You end up being focused on the player because they've given you a tug on the jersey and now you've kind of shoved them and then they've pulled the jersey even harder. Now you've shoved them even more.
Yeah.
And then eventually that can boil over.
And you're supposed to be playing the ball the whole time.
You are.
Right? And if you do anything but look like playing the ball, you're going to give away a free kick or, in the area, a penalty.
And I do think that usually this favors the defender because it's always the defender.
I think defenders get too much leeway in this normally. I don't do this because I never trust it.
Yeah, but I think it does. I think that's it. They usually get leeway here. And so if you're shepherding it out, you're trying to actively play, and it's usually the attacker who makes some desperation play and like slides around to keep the ball in bounds, ends up getting the defender.
It's quite often a free kick right near the end line, right?
But where it can flip is if it's not a really one final aggressive move from the attacker, but sort of a just consistent harassing, annoying, then I think the person who's trying to shield the ball, in this case Akwai, can start to get a little agitated and a little aggressive.
Oh, you're saying that's what happened in this case?
And I think he maybe also thinks, it's going to be a foul given against this guy, so I'm going to give him, I think it is Micheletto. I think he basically thinks, this foul is going to be given, maybe I'll give him like a little bit of a retaliatory shove because I don't like my jersey being pulled, except that Micheletto did it at such an angle in such a way that I think the referee didn't really spot it, and so it ends up looking like Akwai has just stopped shielding the ball to shove a player out of bounds and kind of throw him at the same time.
So the basis of what happens is Micheletto tugs the jersey of Akwai, I guess to try and just throw him off and maybe open a bit of space to get at the ball or just to annoy him. What does Akwai do in return? I wouldn't say it's like a shove, it's more like, doesn't he...
I think he grabs the jersey
grab him back.
Yeah.
But then there's some sort of momentum that makes Micheletto go a little farther.
I think he goes to grab the jersey, but he doesn't release, and so then it looks like Akwai is basically throwing him via like the neck of his jersey, of Micheletto's jersey, and that is very, very obvious. Whereas Micheletto had sort of grabbed like the stomach area of Akwai's jersey, which the referee couldn't see.
Just a more subtle grab. Right?
Yeah, but then when suddenly you seem to be throwing a player by their neckline, that one maybe is going to get a bit more attention.
All right, so we've described the sequence of events.
Yeah.
Do we think this should have been a penalty kick?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because he's no longer playing the ball at that point. He starts to play the man. It probably could have been given as a penalty, but we don't have as a free kick for the kickers. That's what I was
going to argue. Isn't there maybe an argument that because it's Micheletto that grabs the jersey of Akwai first, shouldn't this just be a free kick to the kickers instead of a penalty?
It should be in an ideal world, but again, the angle for both the official and the AR is facing them, but it's sort of like they're huddled in that between the 6-yard box and the 18, so I think the AR can't see the tugging that's happening. The referee, from the opposite vantage point, also can't see it, and so that's why that little tug is so smart, because it's really difficult to spot that one.
If this went to VAR, would they overrule it?
That's what I'm saying.
Do you think they would, because there's the foul first?
Yeah, I said that. I think, but we don't have VAR.
Yeah, and Akwai knows that, right? So maybe the argument is there's no VAR. You're not going to get away with it. Don't let the referee make a decision. Don't have that reaction that invites the possible penalty kick goal.
But yes, agree. But I also think, though, that there's going to be some jersey tugging. It's part of the game. When you stop shielding the ball or shepherding the ball, which is a key component there, you're no longer playing the ball. So now you're just kind of off the ball pulling someone's jersey. You're going to get that penalty. That's what's going to happen.
Agree. Okay, one final thing on Akwai. He's one of our favourite players, right? I've really enjoyed watching him this season. He might be, with all respect to everybody else, my favourite defender, my favourite centre-back for the Richmond Kickers, because he often makes things happen. But this is the second time we've seen him do this. Not the grabbing thing, but the shepherding the ball out of play when it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't there? I can't remember which game it was. A couple games ago.
It was FC Tucson, I believe, the 0-0 draw, where he thinks it's going out at midfield and basically, I think, kind of eases up in that situation, and then the player's able to kind of come through, keep the ball in bounds. Then there's a tussle. I think it would have been called for a foul there, except referee gives advantage because Tucson have a counterattack. It ends up with Maxi Rodriguez sliding across to stop a shot.
It's a heroic slide tackle save from Maxi Rodriguez.
Yes.
Right? Which is a fun moment, but that shouldn't have happened because Akwai probably shouldn't have tried to shepherd that ball out. So maybe the one thing we would request in future is we'll have a quay. If in doubt, kick it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's smart because it's a difficult thing to like game plan against. But if you're an opposing team and you've seen him do this now twice, one of which ended in a penalty, you might think like maybe just put him under pressure even when it sees like the ball's gone.
Would you start playing slow passes that are going out of bounds but very slowly towards half a quay and like have that as your tactic?
I think it would be no. I think it would be more so like it is clear that he might switch off. If like it doesn't, if like the ball seems like it's going out of bounds, basically, don't give up on it. Is I guess what you could look at it as is like, don't give up on any ball, run down every single loose one because he may have that momentary lapse, and you can get in there and make something happen.
He's not as good of a shepherd as he thinks he is.
Exactly.
Okay, our other centre back, Conor Shinosky.
Yeah.
Just a few minutes later, gets 2 yellow cards in quick succession.
He does.
85th minute and 87th minute. The first one, I think, is just he steps hard as Tormenta attack, and you suggested maybe there's just a bit of frustration having just conceded. So. Like, all right, I'm just going to win this ball no matter what.
Well, it's or I think my read on this one is that he knows he's not going to win the ball, but he has to break up this counterattack, so he's going to do the professional foul. Okay. But he's a little frustrated, so I'm going to get a yellow card anyway. Maybe I'll go a little bit harder than I need to make this professional foul. And I think that's because it never seems to me like he's stepping to really win the ball. He kind of knows maybe I'll get it, but more likely I'm getting the player, and I'm going to get a yellow anyway, so I'll take that one.
All right, so not much debate about that one.
No.
87th minute is the second yellow. It's a red card for Shinosky. It's a foul on Lucas Coutinho. No relation to Felipe Coutinho.
That we know of.
I checked.
Okay, you did? What did you Google?
I mean, I checked Wikipedia.
Lucas Coutinho brother? Question mark?
Well, I feel like if it was on his Wikipedia, if he has a Wikipedia page, that fact would be on there.
Probably.
Right? Yeah. So, no relation. That's not important. What is important is Shinosky has the ball. Shinosky loses the ball. Then he tracks down Coutinho, who wins the ball and kind of just puts his knee into Coutinho's thigh. Yeah. It's a definite yellow card.
Yep.
So then it's a definite second yellow, and it's an absolute red
we had to go back and check because I wasn't sure if it was a second yellow or a straight red. Because it is also, it's not like a breakaway, but it is stopping a counterattack with a fair amount of aggressive force from behind.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Shinosky, if you want to be generous, is trying to like put a slide tackle in to kind of poke the ball away, but I think just isn't quite as fast as Coutinho. Yeah, and so then it's one of those where like maybe isn't going to get there anyway, but then that extra touch from Coutinho puts the ball even further away, and now it looks like Shinosky was like 5 yards off.
Here's the interesting thing about this second yellow. I know you know this because we've watched it. I've also heard from the kickers that they were slightly concerned about this.
Yeah.
As Shinosky has the ball to begin with, there's a whistle from the crowd, and the whistle sounds very much like the referee's whistle for like the play is dead, it's a free kick or something like that. And you can see Shinosky stop for a second, and I'm pretty sure that's why he loses the ball. He's distracted by this whistle.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know how much he actually stops there. And I've wondered this before about, like, how do players know in the game, in stadiums, that, like, the whistles that they'll hear, because sometimes there are whistles, aren't on the field. And I think there's probably a specific cadence that the referee goes for and, like, tone when whistling. But I think also it's, like, the immediacy.
He's like, guys, I'll be in C today.
Well, listen at the very end. Like, listen at the end of every game, and they all call full-time or halftime different ways. Okay. Sometimes it's just, like, peep, peep. Sometimes it's peep, peep, peep. Sometimes it's, like, a long peep. So I think they have different ways of blowing the whistle, but I also think that in a lot of games, like at City Stadium, if you have a whistle, you're still a good 10 to 15 feet at a minimum, like off the field, except for maybe in that one little corner.
Yeah.
But I think in this facility, I think that whistle comes from a seat that is maybe 3 feet away from Conor Shinosky.
Okay.
So if anything, I think there's just a loud whistle right behind him, and it kind of like makes him startled for a moment.
It's more of a startled thing than I thought the referee blew the play dead kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was also him thinking the play was dead, but I also could see in the moment being like, no, I thought it was the whistle. The whistle, I thought it was the play was done, and like maybe like a post red card incident reimagining of things.
Yeah. So I do know the kickers have not complained as in this like this should be overturned or anything, but they've like let the league know that maybe fans shouldn't be blowing whistles that sound like referees' whistles.
I mean, except that what are they going to do? Search people for whistles?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, okay. Now we live in a police state where whistles aren't allowed, Daryl.
Yes.
That's your solution is it's more restriction?
It's like the Footloose time, but for whistles.
Yeah. I'm going to say maybe that one doesn't get looked into too much.
All right, the other thing is that means for the Kickers...
What about when people make whistles with their mouths? You got to no fingers in mouths anymore.
Yeah, you just watch that. You just have,
okay. All right.
You man mark every fan.
Everybody has to wear mittens at all times. That's the only solution here.
In July.
Yes.
The Kickers have one more game in June. It's against... I need to check the schedule. Who's the Kickers' next game?
That would be North Texas SC, my friend, at home.
North Texas SC at home. They're also away against Chattanooga Red Wolves on June 29th. North Texas SC at home is July 30th.
Oh, okay.
Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah. June 29th, Saturday, they're away to Chattanooga Red Wolves. It's the final chance to score in June.
That'd be good. That'd be nice, since I believe there's a fundraiser for LGBTQ.
For Pride,
for Pride.
For every goal scored.
For every goal scored. So maybe they score 10 in this game, and then things work out better.
Yeah, fill your boots against Chattanooga Red Wolves. But Connor Shinosky's going to be suspended. Boubacar Keita is not back with the Kickers after the U20 World Cup. I think he's been called back by Columbus because they've had some injury worries. So we're guessing, I'm guessing maybe Magales steps in. I mean, he's the only other centre-back in town.
Yep. I mean, unless they maybe move Maxey back and put more holding midfielders in. They did start with...
Braden Troyer, I've seen play centre-back in the past.
Yeah, that could be. That wouldn't surprise me. I think so. We'll see, obviously, some experimentation in the back line because there's going to be no Shinosky. But it also sounds like maybe we get some experimentation with the kind of overall roster as well, potentially, in the near future.
Well, I've heard there was a sort of mid-season check-in with, Kickers coaching staff and the, senior management.
Yep.
Where it's essentially just to check in on what's happening with the season. No danger of David Bulow being in trouble, like losing his job or anything like that is what we've heard. Kickers feel very positive. Even with bad results, they feel very positive about the sort of atmosphere around the team and the philosophy and what Bulow is trying to do. But apparently they did talk about some little tweaks or this or that. So if we're going to see any changes in the pattern of play, we might start to see it as we exit June, maybe in this final game. So that'd be worth keeping an eye on, maybe.
All right. Is there anything that you would like, aside from more goals being scored and maybe a few wins instead of losses, is there anything that you think that they could look to do? Or should we just refer back to the episodes we've already done?
Honestly, for me personally, everything that we think the Kickers should tweak, maybe, to make the system more effective is in the previous Richmond Kickers Weekly episode.
That's fair.
The only other possibility is maybe signings, like add some players, like maybe add some sort of more aggressive striker, more of a target type striker. I feel like Jackson and Chin both like to sort of drift from centre forward out. They almost like coming and playing in the spaces instead of just being sort of some terrorising centre forward. I mean, if the Kickers could go out and sign
Zlatan,
I don't know, Lewandowski, that would maybe fix some problems. Zlatan would also be useful.
Let's get Zlatan in there.
I'm pretty sure.
See if we can get him on loan. Let's see.
Zlatan on loan, yeah. So there we go. Kickers are...
I bet you it's an option they haven't pursued yet. I'll say that much.
June 29th, Saturday night, away to Chattanooga Red Wolves, 7 p.m. Eastern kickoff. Let's get some goals in June. All right, Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk Richmond Kickers with me.
Right back at you, buddy.
And let's have the Red Army play us out.